Hey guys, it's Mike here, and welcome to another edition of the LSM Q&A, in which I'm going to be answering your subscriber questions over here on my community tab. So, before I begin, don't forget to check out my other channel, Laughingstock Cinema, where I have a new video about Rambo Last Blood, and why critics are wrong about that movie. What a shock, I know. But without further ado, let's get into this video. Now let's begin with the first question, which I believe this is sorted by top comments, so I guess popularity wins here. So let's start with Hot Shock Resurrection. What is the worst single bit of writing from the Dragon Ball franchise in general, do you think? Now that's a really interesting question to ask, and it's a pretty tough question to actually give an answer to as well, because the Dragon Ball franchise has definitely had its ups and downs in terms of writing over the years. So, generally I guess I would probably consider things that made drastic changes, either where there was no need to make them, or just to a contradictory degree that, didn't really help, or just led down a really wrong path. So I guess something like Goku being turned into a kid by new Dragon Balls nobody had ever heard of in Dragon Ball GT, or perhaps in Dragon Ball Super, things like Goku being hurt by a laser because he's caught off guard, even though Goku when he was a kid got shot in the face with a sniper rifle when he wasn't expecting it and it did nothing to him. But, that's just Dragon Ball Super for you, where they literally change how getting caught off guard and suppression works. But, probably something like that. Maybe how they changed Potara to a 1 hour maximum for non-mortals, which I never liked that either. Although you can also look at regressions. So like Vegeta being regressed into someone who once again wants to be number one and wants to surpass Kakarot, even though at the very end of the Buu Saga, before the 10-year time skip, he said, "Oh, you're number one, it's fine, I totally get it." And at least in Dragon Ball GT, they, kept that up, and Vegeta just trained to overcome his own limits. But, probably that, Gohan being regressed to where, oh yeah, I just didn't train, even though I'm now the main character and I'm supposed to. Things like that just, even as a kid, I didn't like. Okay, so if you don't find Goku to be a compelling protagonist, why do you like Dragon Ball? Even though Dragon Ball is a codifier for most shonen anime tropes, what makes? Not too sure why it won't let me see the whole question, or maybe you just couldn't put it down for some reason, I don't know. But, I guess that this is in reference to a video I did recently. I believe it was the 10 popular anime I don't like. And during that, I said that Goku to me isn't really one of the most compelling protagonists for the anime franchises, the ones that I've actually watched. And I guess I should kind of make an amendment there to clarify. So basically when I say that, what I'm saying is that current Goku for me isn't very compelling. And Goku in general, I feel like just isn't really as compelling as a character like Yusuke or, Kurapika or, some of these main characters or characters who are shifted into like the main protagonist slot, who just have way more depth and dimensions to them. But, Dragon Ball for me, even though, some Goku fans are like, Dragon Ball is just Goku's story, get over it, For me, there's a lot more interesting elements to Dragon Ball than just Goku. And I do find Goku to be an interesting protagonist up until pretty much when he dies in the Cell Saga, because his story was over, and they've kind of just been bringing it back and doing the same thing ever since. So, I feel like Goku up to a point is a pretty decent protagonist, maybe, but that's not why I like Dragon Ball, just because, it's Goku or it's nothing. I like the themes, the settings, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, that's not really a reason why I wouldn't like Dragon Ball. It's just something that nowadays I and other people who aren't, the biggest Goku fans, or at least the current Goku fans, kind of have to grit their teeth and get through. Maybe until they finally realize that, fans want to see other characters as the main character, if only for like one arc at a time. What is a chicken? A mini T-Rex. What if Goku took Piccolo and Gohan to King Kai's plant to train for the 3 years before the androids arrived? I think that he might not have, just because, it's Goku and he didn't think about it, but what if he did? I'm guessing that they would have improved even more. King Kai would have been able to give them each their own individual training regimens, Look how big of a boost Piccolo got training on his planet for only like 6 days, And Piccolo got a giant boost during that arc anyway, during the 3-year time skip, because he went from being like 1 to 2 million, because there was a little bit of period of time after the Frieza arc when he was actually training, to being stronger than Frieza on Namek. So, imagine if that was during the train with King Kai. But I assume that the reason they didn't is because, Chi-Chi would have been like, oh, Gohan can't go there, he has to study and he has to do this and that during this period of time when he's not training. But, when Goku has instant teleportation and can literally just bring Gohan to another dimension and back instantly, then I don't really think that that's much of an issue. So maybe I'll address it in a video in the future. Is it possible for Saiyan hybrids to go Super Saiyan God? Yeah, I don't know why people in this community really think that there's no way that a Saiyan hybrid can go Super Saiyan God. There's no real evidence whatsoever to support that, aside from the fact that Beerus wasn't talking to Gohan and asking him if he was a Super Saiyan God, but, super scaling when it comes to Gohan has always been pretty bad. So, yeah, there's no reason that Gohan, Trunks, Goten just can't turn into a Super Saiyan God, or really any Saiyan for that matter. If Goku punched Laughingstock Media, will he turn into Angry Stock Media? I mean, I'd probably die, so not really. Do you think that Toei, Toriyama, and the writing staff are going to make up for all the mistreatment that they gave to Gohan and Piccolo in Super Returns? Because Goku so far, I don't know what's going on with this. So, if your comment got cut down a little bit, then, that's kind of a YouTube problem here, but it's not letting me expand them. So, do I think that it's going to do that? I don't know. I mean, they flip-flopped so much on Gohan, and, Piccolo is someone who Toriyama used to give a lot of shine. I'm not too sure about nowadays, He got eliminated by a freaking bug, but, aside from that, it looks like Piccolo's gonna do some more in the current Moro arc of the Dragon Ball Super manga, so if they adapt that, then, he's probably gonna get some good treatment, but I don't know what Gohan's doing, why he's not more involved, and why Toriyama and the people working on Dragon Ball just won't throw the kid a freaking bone. He got a power-up, but that doesn't really mean that much in the grand scheme of things. Why do Dragon Ball channels keep recycling content instead of innovating? If I see another Boo Explained or every Cell Form video, I'm going to flip. I get the show isn't on at the moment, and whatever else he said after that. And, first off, when it comes to a Dragon Ball channel, just because you've heard one topic from one person doesn't mean that the other person doesn't have anything to offer on that. That's like saying that if one person talks about a political or a economic issue or something along those lines, a scientific issue, that's all that matters. You already heard one person. And I don't think that's really how we should necessarily be looking at topics like this. But when it comes to aside from that, a lot of it also ties into how the YouTube algorithm works. That's why, you see when YouTubers title videos a certain way, or, they do a certain kind of topic, a lot of time it's just because YouTube only promotes certain things within a certain range. And, that's why a lot of your favorite YouTubers, like Dragon Ball channels, for instance, only really talk about Dragon Ball, because only a few select number of channels actually get to get out of that algorithm and talk about more stuff. Because, I know, for instance, when I talk about other anime, YouTube might as well just think that those videos don't exist. And so many people don't even see them, which, when I have as many subscribers as I do right now, and I work hard on each of my individual videos, it'd be nice for people to see them. But at the same time, it's all pretty much a YouTube problem, as opposed to something that's more of an issue of the Dragon Ball YouTubers, as you call them. Why do you think that Vegeta and future Trunks never learned the full power Super Saiyan the Cell Saga, especially after he remarked about Goku's ingenious idea? I don't really know. Like, some people have tried to argue that perhaps they do have full power Super Saiyan in the Cell games, because I guess in the manga version, we don't really see them as bulked up as in the anime version. Not too sure I agree with that. I think it's more of a fact that Goku and Gohan work together, and, Goku just was someone who was able to get the philosophy down more so than Vegeta, who at that point in time was, again, more of a rigid individual who was still very driven by anger and pride, and he still kind of is to a degree, even though it's decades later in universe. So why didn't they do that? Because Toriyama said so. But even then, they still wouldn't have been as powerful as Goku and Vegeta, just because their base forms wouldn't have been at that level. How much do you like Senku compared to other shonen main protagonists of this season? I think he's a pretty interesting shonen protagonist. He's kind of a Gary Stu, because he knows pretty much everything ever about science, even though he's like 15 years old. Well, biologically, he's thousands of years old, but it's not like he was reading or doing anything like that during the time he was in stone. So, I think he's pretty cool, interesting. The whole 100 billion% thing kind of gets a little annoying when he says it constantly. And, he isn't necessarily a strong fighter or something like other shonen protagonists. But I actually really like the fact that this show isn't all about physical force and, training and beating up your opponents. And that they're actually taking a more scientific route to solving their problems. That's one of the reasons I really enjoy this show so far, because it's doing something different than pretty much every other shonen anime I've seen thus far. Should more fighters in Universe 7 learn to use God Ki? I don't really see why they don't, considering the fact that they know Beerus and Whis, and they should just be able to ask them, right? But should they? Definitely. Why don't they? I don't know. What do you think will have to happen for Beerus to finally step in and have a serious fight? I guess Toriyama deciding that it's time for that to happen. I think it's very possible it might happen in the Moro arc, but, they've kind of removed him from the equation thus far, so that could be a hint that he's not going to. But I feel like Toriyama is really saving this for a big moment. Maybe we'll finally get a final rematch between Goku and Beerus, but I don't know why we're not really seeing that happen more often. Beerus has kind of been relegated to the background for most of Super now. If you could rewrite the Majin Buu saga, what would you change? Is everything an answer? There's no way I could answer that in this video. It's such a long answer. I know that Mark from Totally Not Mark actually did a video series about this, so, you should probably check that out for now. But if I ever actually get into this, it's going to take a very long time and either a very long video or multiple videos. But you know how I feel about those multi-part series for the most part. Do you think they ruined the power scaling Dragon Ball Super? Yeah, I also think that water is wet. What if Bardock became the Saiyan King of all Saiyans before Planet Vegeta was destroyed, therefore making Goku the Saiyan Prince? Nothing would change, aside from maybe Vegeta not being as angry about Goku being, a low-class Saiyan, but then again, he might even be more angry because he'd be like, a low-class rat like you shouldn't be the prince, I'm the prince. So pretty much nothing would change. Hey, I can actually say read more on this one. Good job, YouTube. 1 out of every one here. Do you think it's possible to see Super Saiyan 4 and Dragon Ball Super where there is a villain that is stronger than Super Saiyan 3 but weaker than Super Saiyan God, but this villain has the ability to negate all God Ki that allows him to beat Goku and Vegeta? This is when Goku and Vegeta remember Broly's Ozora transformation. They go Vampa to learn the transformation for a design that I think the same Super Saiyan 4 hairs but green aura and with no red fur. Sure, why not? Great use of caps. Very grammatically correct. What if Goku went to Dragon Ball to tell young self, don't kill the Red Army? I don't know why he would do that because they're evil Nazis, but I guess that would happen. Ask MoscoWX. What if Cell was resurrected instead of Frieza in Dragon Ball Super? I would have liked that a lot more. Who are the top 3 anime waifus? I don't know, I don't care about that crap. When Goku was fighting Cell during the Cell games, why was Gohan the only one who noticed that Goku's power wasn't nearly as high as he was expecting? Because Gohan was stronger than Goku, and that was literally the whole point of what they were saying, that Gohan compared his own power to Goku's, so he was thinking that Goku was holding back when Goku was going full power. You know, maybe it's Toriyama's fault that so many people just don't understand this part and don't understand that even Super Saiyan Gohan was stronger than Super Saiyan Goku at full power, but nonetheless, that's what was happening. How would you rank Dragon Ball Z's 4 arcs, Saiyan, Frieza, Cell, and Buu? Probably Cell, Saiyan, Frieza, and Buu. Even though, obviously, you know, this is the short answer compared to the much longer answer it would take to completely articulate why. What if Farmer with a shotgun went 2%? Then Raditz would die just from being in his presence, like the lower demons next to Toguro. Minecraft versus Fortnite. I don't know, I don't play either of them. Twitch versus Mixer. I don't even know what Mixer is. Is DBS bad or good to the DBZ series? Well, DBZ is a completely separate series from DBS, unless you mean the Dragon Ball franchise, and I don't know, I mean, check out my videos and you might have a better idea of what I think. Why do fans use headcanon to explain every single plot hole and inconsistency and won't just accept the fact that the writing in Super is just plain bad? I think it's a combination of nostalgia, rose-colored glasses, and the fact that people get so hyped up in this hype machine that many people in the community and in the business like to build up, and then they just let all of that blind their actual judgment of what's going on. I mean, it's like that with everything. That's probably why so many people who liked The Last Jedi at first now don't like it. Because they let their hype cloud their judgment, and then they finally were able to see the truth. How do you make a good chicken? Stick it in a rotisserie oven. Got a favorite restaurant? I don't know, my taste in food kind of changes depending upon the week or the month, you know? I really like this local Mexican restaurant, but then there's also a really good sushi place near me as well. If the Saiyans did get the Zenkai boost, would King Piccolo have killed Goku? I don't understand your question. Goku was never implied to get a Zenkai boost when he was attacked by King Piccolo, so not really too sure what you're trying to say here. When do you think Dragon Ball Super is coming back? I mean, there's been no announcements for this year, so maybe next year. I really don't know. Do you think a Dragon Ball spin-off focused on the future Trunks and his timeline could work? Yeah, I think that'd be a pretty cool idea, and something I thought would be a really interesting idea for a series even before Dragon Ball Super became a thing. Do you think the gang will eventually face off with Zalama, or Hit will become relevant again? I don't think Zalama is going to be an enemy at this point. You know, I don't know why they haven't actually revealed him in universe yet. You know, Zuno explained him kind of offhand in one reference, but you know, you'd think the guy who created the Super Dragon Balls that are pretty much omnipotent would at least show up in the series. You know, we've seen Guru and we have seen Kami, and, you know, we've heard about how the Namekians created their Dragon Balls, but we haven't found out how Zalama created this Dragon Ball set, or why he created them, or even what the guy looks like. What's your favorite anime studio? I don't know, maybe Studio Bones or Madhouse, or, you know, there's a lot of great studios out there I'm finding out more and more about, so, you know, maybe ask me when I've seen even more anime from them. Are you a homosexual? No. Why did Goku go through all of the trouble of charging the Spirit Bomb when he was fighting Kid Buu? He could have easily just instant transmissioned himself to Gohan. Because the point at the time was that Vegeta and Goku and Toriyama wanted the people of the Earth to intervene and actually save themselves for once. So it was supposed to be a big message about how Goku and friends have helped to save the people of Earth for every arc up until then, so they're like, okay, let's actually have the people of Earth save themselves. Unfortunately, they wished away all of their memories of Buu and the situation happening in the first place, so that kind of goes back to the first question I was asked about bad writing, but hey, the Buu Saga's full of it. Why don't they wish for infinite sensu beans? Because they don't have an infinite IQ like you do, apparently. Gohan versus Deku, is that a serious question? Even Kid Gohan would kill Deku in like one hit. Broly versus the Angry Austrian. Who would win in an arm wrestling contest? I mean, Harold has already said that Broly at his full power can't even beat Harold at 11%. So if Harold went full power, well, he would destroy Broly's arm, Broly himself, the table that they're arm wrestling on, the universe, and maybe the multiverse that they're fighting in at the time. Do you think if they continue with Dragon Ball Super that they'll make a saga or touch upon Gohan's hidden power and potential? They do that literally every time he becomes relevant, so I guess. I'm one of many who doesn't find overpowered moments in any anime boring. Several have entertained me. How are you with them? I don't really know entirely what you mean by overpowered moments. Do you mean just when a character is so badass that they get punched in the face and attacked and it does nothing and they look super strong? Because, you know, that's just kind of a staple of anime, so I don't really have an issue with that either. What production studio would you like to work for if you were given the chance, as in a lifelong dream that I have to work with this person at least once? I mean, I guess it depends on what you mean by production studio. Do you mean for an anime or for, like, movies? Because, you know, it might be interesting to work for Disney or Warner Brothers on, you know, live-action movies, because in addition to doing YouTube, I'm also a filmmaker and a writer, so it'd be pretty cool to get some movies made through them. But if you mean a studio that makes anime, you know, and I had complete control over the product, then it would probably be Toei, so that I can just, you know, fix Dragon Ball with all these ideas I've been talking about for years. What do you think Vegeta will learn on Planet Yardrat? I literally did a video about this. What came first, the chicken or the egg? Let me know in the comments down below. Did you finally kick Harold out? Do you think I have the strength to kick Harold out? When he's not here, he's off training in a giant black hole in the middle of space, so no. Do you think the Earthling Z fighters should have been trained better in the series, and if so, how would you have done it? I mean, realistically, they should have had all the training that Goku did, but they're not the main protagonists, so that's not going to happen. How would you articulate why you love Dragon Ball to an outsider without resorting to the cookie cutter, they're buff dudes and have awesome fight, song, and dance? It's an iconic franchise in anime that is capable of delivering on some very emotional moments combined with awesome fights and a cool setting and some really interesting characters. Some people just will never be into Dragon Ball no matter what you do or say to them, you know, like it's something that they kind of have to experience themselves, and sometimes it depends exactly when they start, but you know, I just say watch the original Dragon Ball and then Dragon Ball Z and maybe read the manga, and that's pretty much all you gotta do. But hey, if you want to check out the other continuations, be my guest. Just don't expect them to be as good. Do you think the prison break in the current Dragon Ball Super manga arc will have implications on future arcs? Seems like a great way to set up interesting plot points in the future. Maybe, you know, they're releasing certain villains that could very well end up being even more powerful than Moro, but I really doubt it, you know. For all we know, they're just gonna be henchmen for Moro to fight the Z Fighters, which, hey, as long as the Z Fighters get involved and it's not just the Goku and Vegeta show again, then I think that'd be a lot more interesting. Is Khalifa the worst written character in all of Dragon Ball history? She's definitely up there. You know, considering the fact that she's just some random mob boss who's introduced and she's super strong and has super potential and can instantly become a Super Saiyan and a Super Saiyan 2 and other grades of Super Saiyan, and can fight against Goku and Vegeta, who in their base forms alone would solo all of Dragon Ball Z, is pretty bad. Same thing with Kale, who just literally turns into Broly fan service, and is now completely obsolete because we actually have Broly in Dragon Ball Super. But is she really the worst written character? I don't know. I mean, have you ever seen Daltaki from Dragon Ball GT? He's pretty bad. What do you think is Krillin's busting level? Ask 18. No. Great question. If Android 19 had all of Goku's moves following up to Namek arc, why didn't he use the Kaioken against Goku and Vegeta? Because he didn't have their moves, he just knew about them. They had information, but it's not like they could somehow use the Kaioken. Do you think that Jiren, Hit, and Beerus, etc. had to be as strong as he was because he didn't have regeneration like Boo? Look at Zamasu, who was a pushover because it was to be OP. I mean, the thing is that when these characters show up who have supreme regeneration, Toriyama always likes to show them getting damaged just so he can show off their powers. So, like, if they had regeneration, even if they were so much more powerful than Goku like they are in the story, they would still probably get hurt and regenerate anyway, just to show it off. Movie 8, Legendary Super Saiyan Broly versus Perfect Cell versus Deborah versus Bojack versus Hachiyak fight to the death, who would win? Have you been asking me this question for like 4 years now? Because I've answered this so many times and I'm kind of tired of it. Why did you become a YouTuber? I've talked about this in the past, I'll probably talk about it in a dedicated video again in the future since nobody saw that video. But because it was something that I knew I was able to do, and it was something that I knew I had the knowledge and the passion to discuss Dragon Ball and movies and things I care about. And I followed people like Quaman and BLACKENFIST and Angry Joe and a lot of these other big YouTubers who I was a big fan of at the time. So I figured, hey, why don't I try and do the same thing, and maybe I'll make friends with them along the way. And so far I've made friends with many of the people who I used to watch, so it's pretty cool. The fact that I don't bother with One Piece, Naruto, or Fairy Tail because of high number of episodes is that they aren't worthy of my time. Does that irritate you? Well, if you're getting into a new franchise and they have hundreds or thousands of episodes, yeah, it's going to be daunting for anyone, especially when you actually watch those series and they're so padded out and paced poorly and just so kind of bland and generic that it's like, why would I watch 1,000 episodes of this? But, everyone tells me One Piece gets better or that I should just read the manga. So, maybe some of these animes I don't like or that I've thought are just generic or just something I don't really care for overall in the past, I might check out the manga and change my mind. Although a lot of it is conceptual, so I wouldn't really hold my breath on that. Universe 11 needs a spin-off series. Anyone else agree? Dragon Ball definitely has a lot of room for spin-off series. What parts of Dragon Ball Z and Super would you have written differently? I mean, that's such a long list of things I would have changed that there's no way I can answer it here. Not sure if you've done this, but what are your multipliers for each of the Super forms, counting all 3 continuities? Ugh. If you've done that already, have you ever crunched the numbers to see how much the most powerful anime Z characters are than their manga Z versions? I mean, this is such a down the rabbit hole question that can go on for hours, I don't know if I could even address this in a single video because of how much calculating I would have to do comparing Dragon Ball Z to the Dragon Ball manga, and then Dragon Ball Super to Dragon Ball Z and the Dragon Ball Super manga, all these different continuities clashing with each other. What's actually the legitimate multiplier? Some of these forms we've never been given multipliers for, and we have to go off of these guides that, for all we know, Toriyama wrote this stuff down in the middle of a meal on a napkin at a sushi bar, and then it's like, oh yeah, that's canon, and he didn't put any more thought into it other than that. So, multipliers and things like that are fun to speculate about and maybe sometimes debate if it's a friendly debate, not like the debates that many members of a certain section of this fan base love to get into that are super aggressive and full of name calling. But other than that, I just don't really even care anymore because of how convoluted everything's become. Can Goku and Vegeta obtain the Ikari or Carrboro transformation from Broli? Well, I guess the real Ikari transformation is what Trunks had, the Super Saiyan Rage or Super Saiyan Ikari. I think maybe if you're talking about the humanoid Ozaru of sorts, then I don't know. I think it's just something that only Broly has. They wanted to give him something unique, and I guess somehow he can channel the Ozaru within his body, but, that basically sounds like Super Saiyan 4 to me, except it doesn't look anywhere near as cool as that. Did you ever do a King of the Monsters review? No, I haven't even seen it. What would you like to see Gohan do if he goes to Universe 10 to train with the Universe 10 fighters, especially Obuni? Why would he ever do that? That doesn't make any sense. What do you want? A Next Generation's Dragon Ball show, no Goku or Vegeta? I mean, that'd definitely be interesting, sure. Frost versus Ribrianne. I'm guessing Ribrianne would win, but the power scaling surrounding her is just so confusing because characters randomly will fight her as Super Saiyan when she's in her lower forms, and then she'll transform and they'll fight her in their base forms. And then Android 18 was able to defeat her when she was in her ultimate giant form, so who the hell knows? Why? Why not? Was Vegeta stronger than Super Saiyan 2 Teen Gohan before he turned into Majin Vegeta? It's possible. Is it possible that DBS Broly could potentially transform into Super Saiyan 4? Yeah, you basically are addressing what I just said. Super Saiyan 4 is only a part of the GT continuity right now, so unless they randomly decide to bring it back for fan service, which it doesn't seem like they're going to, then I doubt it. Do you think that Broly fits better than Goku and Vegeta as God of Destruction despite his kind nature? I mean, that's the thing you just said, I feel like a lot of people don't really understand what a God of Destruction does, They go around the universe like Galactus, wiping out entire civilizations full of characters, so anyone who isn't kind of a crazy genocidal evil maniac for the most part, I feel like isn't going to want to do that. What if King Vegeta was not jealous of Broly? Then Broly would have died when Frieza blew up the planet. Do you watch other anime except for Dragon Ball? Have you not seen half the videos I've done recently? I think this is more evidence right here that YouTube doesn't promote my other anime videos to you guys. So just another reason why it definitely helps the channel when you like, comment, and especially share the videos out to your friends and other people in the community, so that we can get past this issue that's been going on with my channel for years. What do you think of the Dragon Ball What If community? I feel like it definitely isn't in as good of a place as it used to be, because, certain channels have been making so many what ifs recently, and so many multi-part what ifs that have like 12 parts to them that are basically just glorified fan fiction with new characters that they create out of thin air that would never actually happen if you look at everything scientifically. And then a lot of people have been doing videos that aren't even what ifs, just with what if in the title, so that they can get people to click on them who actually want to see real what ifs. But I think that certain channels like Quaman or even my channel are still trying to keep real good what ifs alive in terms of actual scientific what if scenarios that try and factor in everything scientifically as opposed to just what we insert into our own fan fictions. Your most hated / least favorite episode of what show? How come humans never got like a form or transformation DBZ? I guess because humans just don't transform. Maybe in like 100 million years they'll all look different, but that's more evolution than transformation. What is your least favorite arc of DBS, Potafu arc? How much of the drama do you follow in the bodybuilding community? I mean, I used to talk about all this stuff, or actually Harold used to talk about all this stuff in his videos, but nowadays I don't really pay much attention to it, I work out and my friends work out, but I don't really care as much nowadays about drama and really follow this stuff as much. Do you think Vegeta is training on Yardrat for a key barrier? I think that they're already revealing what he's going to train for in the manga, so you should probably check that out. What do you think of demi-humans? I mean, do you mean humans in Dragon Ball that would have God Ki? Because sure, let them have it. BLACKENFIST versus Gohan, who would win? I mean, obviously Gohan. What if Frieza got the Infinity Gauntlet? Well, if it was the MCU version, it would probably only slightly make him a little more powerful, but still easily able to be defeated by getting caught off guard. And if it was the real version from the comics, then he would instantly be able to beat pretty much everyone by combining his already strong power level with this universe-controlling ability. Favorite Yu-Gi-Oh! Character and why? Yeah, I've already talked about this recently. Is there too many transformations in Dragon Ball? Well, yeah, it's been that way since Dragon Ball Z. Where would you scale androids like 19 and Jiro if they absorb God Ki? I mean, I don't think that just because you absorb God Ki that you can suddenly use God Ki. It's a completely different process from using regular Ki. Will Dragon Ball's popularity be affected when the original voice actors retire? Maybe. Changing voice actors is always something that's been difficult for series to overcome, especially if the new voice actor doesn't really sound like them. But I think they could use this as a great opportunity to finally shift the focus to other characters. What if Gohan never died in the Future Trunks arc and became a Super Saiyan 2? I already talked about this in a video. And finally, is Harold universal or is he multiversal? Well, I guess it depends on which multiverse he's in, because each fictional universe and multiverse has its own durability and its own kind of fabric and how it works. In the Harold verse, it's way bigger and a lot more durable because of how the gains works. So, destroying a universe there would be equivalent to destroying like a megaverse here, So I guess the answer is yes. Okay guys, this has been another LSM Q&A, which I've been bringing you here today. Make sure to like this video if you like it, and share it out with your friends and other people in the community so that they get the chance to see it. And if you're new to this channel, then make sure to subscribe and enable all notifications so that you can see all of my videos and community posts like these right away when they come out. And make sure to stick around because there's a lot more to come in the future.
Yeah, and you better subscribe.